And my goal today is to tell you that you are the creator of your perfect story, and only you know how to shape it to the world there. But also, I'm also Daria Kunz, and I also didn't get a role when I thought that I was 100% fit. I still learning Excel. It's not my passion, you know. I got internship at L'Oreal only from my second attempt. So not everything as smooth and perfect as it gets from the first sight. So this is the reality, and this is what we are calling life, you know. Here is my quick introduction, how my study days were looking like at UACU. I also took statistics course twice because I didn't pass it from the first time. So, you know, now we understand what was the priority back then. It was actually really fun. So today, the goals of the session is to get you guys equipped and understanding what do you need, what skills do you need, what you should put on your CV, and how to effectively do an interview if you pursue your goal to take a career in tech. So first of all, we're going to talk about the skills. We're going to talk about the CV and interview, and we're going to talk what are actually career options out there for people who are not in engineering field. So we have a bunch of soft skills, and I'm sure that you in university and you know what does it mean, and is actually meaning way more important than the hard skills. Soft skills are everything. First of all, it's a communication. So what do you guys, I don't know, if I would love to make this a dialogue, not a monologue, and I hope and I'm sure that it's going to be more inviting and more engaging with you guys. So if I ask you some questions, please unmute yourself and like communicate with me. Or if you have any questions, just let me know, just unmute yourself and tell me what you think. So we make it a nice dialogue, but not a monologue. So about the soft skills. First of all, of course, it's the communication. And why is it important? Because in tech, there are so many different things, so many different projects, that sometimes you will work with so many different people, like engineers, finance, marketing, sales, I don't know, project managers, people from super different contexts and different backgrounds. And you have to understand how to speak them with super easy and simple language. For example, like on the slide we have, so how would you explain what VPN is to your granny or to your babushka, as we say in Ukrainian and Russian languages? So if you guys want to try and make it fun and engaging, how would you explain VPN to your granny? Maybe someone wants.
That's an application that's allow you to pretend to be in another country.
Perfect. So you say, Granny, if you want to pretend that you are right now in the United States, you can do so, right?
I can try it as well because.
But I think you're. Yeah. Here.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to explain like that internet is basically like communicating in live, in person. Sorry. And some of the, for example, you can't buy banana bread if you're in Kiev. Like it's very hard to find. But if you're in LA, it's way easier. So, and the same with internet, because some of the services on internet are available only in certain countries. And VPN is such a magic tool that makes you to seem for other internet users like you're from the other country and access services that are available in that country.
Exactly. So if our granny is educated enough what internet is, she will definitely understand what VPN is. So super well done. Thank you for your engagement, guys. It's really important, and I understand that you are listening, that you are not doing your homework or something else right now. Super. So about the communication. Yeah, first of all, it's really important to understand how to speak the simple terms. Also, secondly, really important to understand too how to do effective presentations. Basically what I'm doing right now for an audience online, offline, it can be a business meeting, it can be a workshop, it can be client meeting, like anything else. So this skill is really, really essential. And the last one about the communication is how to talk to senior stakeholders. So in life and in our careers, we will talk not only to our managers and peers and our team, but also we'll talk to senior people. And when we talk to them, it's very good to understand how to make your narrative and message super sharp, concise, and really get to the point. So this is about the communication. The next piece is team collaboration. I'm sure you guys do a lot of projects in team, and right now at the university, you know what I mean. And in career, and when you when you go to a tech company, team collaboration is a must. It's a key. Oh, sorry, someone wanted to tell something, or because someone unmuted. I think Ksenia was you. Did you have a question? Or...
No, it's a mistake.
Okay, no problem, no worries. Okay, so about the team collaboration. As I said earlier, in tech, everything based on projects. And most of the time, you will do projects with absolutely different people, absolutely different teams. And your goal is to be, your goal is to understand different people, different perspectives, and communicate and collaborate with them. So this is what team collaboration is about. Understanding what other people real agenda. So what do they really mean when they communicate to you? Next one is decision making. Why do we talk about decision making in tech? Because in tech world and tech business, the life cycle of a product, of a service is way shorter than, for example, in FMCG. When I worked at L'Oreal, the product life cycle to launch, I don't know, a new lip gloss would took us, I don't know, 3 years maybe, or 2 years. So it's like enormous amount of time. But when we talk about tech, it can be 6 months, it can be 9 months. So it's really, really shorter. And in this case, when you have such a fast changing environment, you really need to make decisions super quick and be really strong about your decisions. Most of the times in tech, decisions are made based on data. And data is something tech companies love. If they would love something, it would be definitely data. And we will talk about this a bit later. Now I want you to ask a question. What do you guys think can be another soft skill which would be necessary for any position, especially in tech? I opened this.
Like work in an ambiguous environment, or like critical thinking or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like really working somewhere where you don't know what to do, but you thrive and you assume and you create hypothesis and you just answer yourself your hypothesis. This could be as well. Anything else comes to your mind? Like there is no right or wrong answer. You know, there's everything. So for me, in my experience, those three were the most important ones, but for you, it can be something else. So also important to understand that in like probably in every career, there is no right or wrong. You always can come up with something on your own. Okay. If we talk about the hard skills also important, not as soft skills, I would say, but also something we should be mindful about. First is the project management. Even if you go to a sales role, or if you take a marketing role, it doesn't matter what role is about, it will be at the end of the day, most of the time, always about the project management. Why? Because people work in teams, people have this short life cycles of project and services, and most of the time, everything is done project-based. And sometimes, like very, very often, the chances that you do not know what people are talking about, most of the time, half of the time, it will be, the chances are super high. When I first came to Google, probably I didn't understand like 60 or 70% what people are talking about. And it's normal. So as you said, Arseni, these like the ambiguity is very important.
Да, уже 3 раза было. Да.
Sorry, Veronica, I think you should mute yourself. Thank you. If you have questions, please unmute yourself. I'm happy to answer anything, but I thought it was a mistake. Super. Yeah, so I was saying about that if you do not understand what's going on and you don't understand like what people are talking about around you, it's totally normal. Your goal is to be strict about your project management skills. Your goal is to understand how to guide the process, how to guide the project, even if you don't understand the topic. So for example, how to do effective OKRs, how to do timelines, and how then to communicate your project to your stakeholders. Does anyone know what OKR is? Or, because I don't want to throw these acronyms when it's not as clear. I think, Arseny, you might know what that is.
No, I'm not sure what that.
Okay, that's cool. So OKRs are objective key results. So in most of the tech companies, this is the methodology how they set a goal, right? So we don't say like, I want to create educational webinar next week. This is not measurable. This is not a right goal setting, as we say in a smart way, right? The smart way would be, for example, I want to create an educational initiative next week. I want to make sure that 100% of people would be satisfied with the initiative. I would increase my reach by 50% in my audience, and so on and so forth. So you know what I mean? I didn't just say what I want to achieve, like what is my objective, but I also say what is the key results. So how would I measure my objective against my goal, right? So if you're interested in this topic, there is an amazing book called Measure What Matters. And it talks about the OKR system, which was introduced at Google. And right now, all of the tech companies are using OKR methodology. So for example, if you want to join one of the big companies and during the interview, you would already say that you know what OKR is and you're using it in your internships or even at the university, they will be definitely impressed. So this is something really cool to know. Okay, then if we talked about project management skills, now we talk about analytical skills. And this is my least passionate project. I see that someone had a question, or
no, I already saw on the slide.
Excuse me again, I didn't hear.
Can you open, please, again, OKR?
What do you mean open? I was just explaining this topic.
Yes, it's how the transliteration objective. What is this?
Objective key result.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry. Objective key result, you can just Google it, you'll find a lot of information, but the top information how to really use it, it's a book, Measure What Matters. Thank you for the question. Because in tech companies, you know, if it's not measurable, it means it never happened. We will talk about this later. So everything they do, every project, every little task has to be measurable at the end of the day. So yeah, analytical skills. Analytical skills, super important. It's really crucially important in order to get a role in tech. Either it's sales, marketing, it doesn't matter, because most of the decisions are based on data, and it's super important to be able to pull data yourself, work with raw data, and make decisions and make some hypothesis based on data what you will get. So if you are shy of Excel or Google Sheets, I would suggest you working on this right now. And this is something, yeah, worth learning. All of the other hard skills you will really learn on the job. So it really depends on the role you take. But if we talk about 90% of these entry-level positions in tech, which are marketing and sales, These are two most important ones. The rest you really can learn on the job. Also important to know that sometimes when we read job description and we think, I do not hit 100% of these requirements, and we don't apply, you know. In real life, if you read the job description and you see that you can hit 50% of what is required, it is already good enough to apply and to try yourself in those positions, because the rest of 50% you will learn on the job. And this is what is required to be able to be open to learn and to develop on the go. Most of the times when we read job description requirements, they always want to have an experience already, right? I was a student myself, and I really struggled when I wanted to find a job, but everyone would tell me, we need experience, at least 1 year, 2 years, whatever. It was really hard. So I would encourage you to start early, take internships, take some part-time jobs. This is what I did. I worked part-time when I was studying. I also did a bunch of different internships. It really doesn't matter where you would go. The idea and the goal why you would do it in really to get those soft skills which we were talking about. And they are the most important right now. So I would really, really encourage to try different internships, part-time jobs in order to get those experience. If you are familiar, because it's not really my topic, I was focused on internships, and I'm not familiar with students' organizations, but I'm sure that there's a lot of them where you can address your leadership skills. Because I have a lot of colleagues who did not have any internships, but they were leaders in some organizations, and this helped them to prove their leadership skills. So this is something worth considering. Now we're moving to the CV topic. And CV, I think it's really an art, because there's so many ways how you can do CV, how you can write your CV. It can be creative, it can be beautiful, it can be whatever, but the most important one, what we usually say in tech, is that it's not the narrative about what you did in your life or in your professional life, right? It is the summary of your achievements. Sometimes when people send over CVs, you know, and they did great job, they worked in amazing companies, they did great, but then they start just to say, I did XYZ without understanding and without putting the result of what actually was the result of their work. So first of all, if you cannot measure the result of your work, it never happened. In tech, it's really true. And when I was applying to Google, it was something crazy for me. I didn't understand what exactly I have to measure and how to quantify my results, but it's true. So for example, if you had some educational sessions, instead of just saying in your CV, I did educational sessions for students or for clients or for my peers, or it doesn't matter. You should say, I run 20 workshops and educated 400 people. So it has to be quantifiable. Second, don't tell what you did. Tell us what did you achieve. So most important, and what was the result of your work, not what you actually did. Third, we should always adjust CV to the position we're applying to. So for example, we created CV and we will apply to project manager role. And then we think, okay, I'm exploring, so I also can try myself as a sales manager, right? And then we send the same CV to account manager position. But in most of the cases, this approach will not work because we need to adjust our soft skills and our hard skills towards the position we want to take. Because most of the time, you have your set of your skills, right? And you can curate out of the set everything that you want. So you can adjust and use the specific examples that will be relevant for the position you're applying to. This is exactly what I'm talking about right now. So imagine that you have a box with jewelry. and you have a night out, cinema, movie, whatever, doesn't matter. You open your jewelry box and there is everything. There's rings, necklaces, earrings, and so forth and so forth. You will not take everything and wear on yourself, right? You will just pick something. So the idea is that you extract some of your skills that is mostly needed for your position, for your role, and then you create, you polish them with your storytelling, with your stories, with your experiences, like how you want to position these skills out there to the world. And only then you tell your story based on what expected from your role, from your requirements. And this is the idea when the interview, when we do interviews with our jobs. Because most of the time we think, oh my God, this is an interview, this is something scary, or this is something like negative, you know, because they will check my knowledge and so forth, but it's not the case. Most of the time, always, interview is a two-sided, it's a dialogue. So not only they check your skills, experiences, and knowledge, but most of the time it's your opportunity to check, do you actually like the company? Do you actually like the people? Do they have same values as you do? Like, what are their priorities and so on? So this is a good opportunity for you to understand, do you really like the job or that position or that company or not? So if you change your mentality and you are in the dialogue, it becomes way more easier and way more pleasant to do interviews. And I would highly encourage you to just do mock-up interviews. So for example, you found some role, you don't necessarily want to do it, but just try. The more interviews you do, the less stressful it gets for you at the end. So use it as a tool just to try and test like how it goes, you know. It's the same in the university. When we learn some skill, we need to practice. So the more you practice, the better it goes in the future. So do you guys know what STAR is? If you're not reading the the thing on the slide, have you ever heard about the STAR rule?
Yeah, it's like for evaluating your actions, decision making and stuff, and for planning your prospective tasks and decisions.
Yeah, it can be as well. Also, it's widely used in the storytelling. So, for example, you come to the interview, and they ask you the question. So, tell me a time when you led a team or when you proved your leadership skills. Tell me a time when you had a negative situation with a client. And what do you say? Like, you know, you need a structure. So every answer on every interview needs a structure. STAR rule, it's a structure. And if you use it, you most of the cases be very successful with your answer. So first, it's you discuss what was the context or what was the situation. Then what was your task? So what was the goal that you wanted to achieve, right? Then what was your action what did you do in that situation, right? And at the end, what was the result? If you stick to the STAR rule in all of your answers in the interview, it's going to be good, because most of the time they do not ask you to check your knowledge. They ask you to check how do you think? What is your logical process? And if you answer your questions in a structured way, meaning that you are being able to, you know, structure your thoughts, you're being able to structure your work, your project management, and like your tasks, your everything, your team, and so on and so forth. So, for example, many years ago, Google would still ask these hypothetical questions in the interviews. Right now, they don't do it anymore. But I just wanted to show why they did it and what are they expecting from you when you would reply those questions. So the question is, how many people are landing in Paris airports daily? Does anyone want to try answering this question?
I remember the answer.
Sorry?
Yeah, I mean, I remember the answer for this question, so I won't say.
Okay, so you'll just tell them I don't remember. Or what did you mean?
I mean, I already heard this question in one YouTube video. Yeah. So maybe I'll give a hint if someone will have no idea.
Okay, maybe someone else want to try? I mean, we can try to answer it together, like, you know, again, there is no right or wrong answer. Most of the people in this room will have different answer to this question, and it's normal. Okay, let's answer it together. So as I said, there is no right or wrong. Everyone will have their own, and it's absolutely fine, because the idea of this question that people during the interview, they will check, like, it's not always important, what do you know? Mostly important is how do you think and where do you get this information? Because we discussed earlier, and Arseny said, really important to understand how to work in ambiguous situations. What is ambiguity? Is when we don't know what to do. We don't know the answer. Most of the time, this will be the case. And the idea here is not to look for the perfect answer, because it doesn't exist. What exists is that you can assume something based on your knowledge. You can create hypotheses, the same as assumptions. And you can show how do you think and what is the logic of your thoughts. Or you can also show where would you find this information. So for example, if you're on the job and there is something you don't know, you rather should show how would you find this information, whom you would ask, and where would you go to look this up. The same in the interview. So let's try to answer this question together. So what do we know? We know we start with the assumption is the same as star. We discuss about the context, the situation, task, action, and result, right? So we start with, we assume that in Paris, there are 3 operating airports, for example, right? Can be more, it doesn't matter at all. Then we assume that they operate 24 hours. Again, we assume that plane lands every 5 minutes. It can be 7, 10, like it doesn't really matter. And then we assume that there are 200 passengers on the plane. We do our math and we give the answer. So for example, if you hear this question on the interview, you will do your math yourself and then you will tell them. So 2,000 people, whatever, 200,000 people are landing in Paris daily. So if you would only give them number, they would like, wow, okay, but how did you get to that number? So the most interesting is not the number itself, the answer, but mostly interesting for them to understand how did you come up to this? So what was your thinking process? So maybe someone wants to answer this question after I gave a hint how to answer those. I think, Mikita, you said that you know the answer, but maybe you have different perspective on your answer right now. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. It was literally the same perspective as you mentioned. Like, okay. So I propose you, do this teamwork, and let's start with the number of airplanes who are daily leaving and entering these airports. Mm-hmm. I think it could be like maybe 500 for each airport. What do you think, guys?
I don't know, you know, everyone will have something else and it's okay. It's fine, absolutely fine. So if you think that it's 500 planes like leaving one day, or this is what you meant, it's absolutely fine. Like the idea is that you show how do you think and how do you get to your answer, not just throwing it out, you know, like, oh, like today it's like this. No, like I think because of X, Y, Z, it can be. So for example,
Okay.
why do I think that 200 passengers? You can say, for example, I know that the average capacity of a plane is like 90%. Planes are never full, right? They're not 100% full all the time. So we assume that on the plane is like 200 people because of the capacity, 90%, blah, blah, blah. So assumptions always win. Cool. Thank you so much for your engagement. You can just practice between yourself, you know, and try to answer in all of those questions. And it can be really fun because hypothetical questions are big topic and big part of interviewing process at Google, for example, at Apple the same. So it's good skill. Yeah, during the interview, if at the end of the interview, interviewer tell you, so Arseny or Nikita, do you have questions? And you'll say, no, actually everything is clear, you know, like all good. So this actually means that you are not interested in the job. So for me, for interviewer, because at Google, not only HRs are interviewing or team leads, you know, people from the team, like a peer-to-peer interviewing is also a very big topic. So if I interview, for example, and people would tell me, no, actually everything is clear, it's fine, I don't know, no questions, actually means that you're not very interested. So the idea here is there are no stupid questions. Every question is really good because you show that you're interested, you show that you put some thought, you know, and that you're engaged. But also, it's really important to understand what questions you ask whom. So for example, you come to an interview and there's HR, you know, first phone screening is always with HRs. I mean, from the process. And they would, and you would ask them some team questions, some team structure or something based on their job you applied. HRs, in most of the cases, they do not know, you know, they work with so many different teams that they don't have a clue. So HR person, you should ask, what are the salary range? Or where, I don't know, office is located, like something more practical and administrative. When you talk to a manager, then you should ask, please do not ask any salary or things like this. So this is only HR related. With the managers, you should talk about the team, the structure. Maybe you have found that they acquired some smaller startup and you would ask, okay, I read from the news that you acquired XYZ startup. So how it's gonna, I don't know, change on the business perspective. So stuff like this. But please ask questions every time. Now let's talk about the options. If you're not an engineer, again, the options in most of the cases, like 90% of the cases, is that it's either sales, customer support, it's called customer experience or customer success, or it's a junior project manager. At the end, we will share the presentation with you, and here I linked a couple of positions so you will understand, because in tech, the funny part is that when you read the description, most of the time you would like, actually I can hit it all, you know, like I have done this, I have done that, but it's actually really serious job, like no, it's not serious, but senior positions. So in most of the cases, entry level or like minimum years of experience would be either sales or customer support. Nikita has a question. I don't hear. I don't know. Do you guys hear? No. Is there a chat? Maybe you can. Yeah, there is a chat.
Nikita, you need to turn your microphone on firstly.
Oh, probably yes.
And now you listen me? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. As an HR manager, it's your responsibility to create this perfect picture of the employee and how he can implement his skills into the job.
Can you repeat the first thing again? I didn't understand.
As an HR manager.
HR manager.
Your responsibility.
So did I understand your question correctly? So is HR creating a perfect, so is HR creating job requirements? You mean when you see job openings online, or
No,
what do you
when
mean?
you meet the person who want to apply for some job and you see his or her values, appearance, how they speak, how they look, your responsibility is to understand if they will go, if they will like suit to the system, like as an account manager, and like you compare them to the perfect examples, or you just think like about any case, every case. Like,
Okay, so the question is like, are they doing the screen, like the first screening? Would person be a fit to a company or not, right? This is the question. I just want to answer. Yeah? Okay. Look, guys, there is a process. Most of the cases, you will have 6, like from 5, like minimum 5 interviews. So what does it mean? First one is always with HR. HR person will just ask you very basic questions. They will check your business English. They will check your ability to communicate, to schedule meetings with them, like schedule different other interviews. So it's really a basic screening, but it always happening with HR. So I think answering your question, HR does only half of the, only part of the job, right? It only checks like whether you are in general as a personality would be applicable to a company. But then later on, when you have interviews with team managers, with team leads, with peers, or with senior stakeholders, then they will check your skills. HRs are not checking your skills. If that was the question. Sorry, it was confusing. I hope I answered. Yes. Okay, if you have any other questions, please let me know. So yeah, here I linked a couple of positions. You can guys check. So how would the entry-level position would look like? Most of the cases, as I say, it's account managers, account executives, account strategist. So it's something to do with the account of the client. Most of the cases, these roles are client-specific, and they are either sales or in marketing. Also very good. For example, most of the time, these roles are market specific. So for example, if we take Google as an example, they have headquarters, European headquarters in Dublin, and most of the roles are market specific if we talk about sales. So there is a huge team for DACH, like for German market, French market, Italian market, Ukrainian market, and so on and so on. So if you speak any other language apart from Ukrainian, Russian, English, for example, you speak Italian, it's going to be perfect because it like increases your chances to get a role, for example, in Italian team. I got my first role because I spoke Ukrainian, and they were looking for Ukrainian speakers in customer support. So my first role at Google was customer experience. Yeah. Then it's easier to change once you are there. Cool. Now, and the last thing what I want to tell you right now here today is that you're actually, if you think about this, it gets really easier. So you are the author of your story. Only you can build your story and your narrative to the interviewer, to your CV, like everywhere you communicate about yourself, you are the only one who's creating it. So even if you, let's say, didn't have 100% of experience in XYZ, but you know how to do it, you still can based on your knowledge, you still can create your story about this and tell it during the interview if you are sure in what you're saying. And again, it's not bragging if it's based on facts. If you really did something and you succeeded, you always should mention it, but always be relevant to the situation, context, that people you're talking to. So, takeaways about our discussion today. First, soft skills are the kings, so, or is a king, doesn't matter. It's really important. You should still learn a couple of hard skills, as we discussed. It will be really depending on the role you take. CV is a summary of your accomplishments. It's not the narrative of what you did in your professional life. It's what you accomplished. What are your results? Next, assume if you really don't know. If in most of the cases you will not know, so assumptions and hypotheses are your best friends. And the last one, ask questions and be curious. So not curious people are, with them not cool to work, and you want to be a cool colleague to work with, right? So if you're curious and open-minded, you ask questions, everything gonna be fine. If you guys have any questions, let me know right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you so much for such presentation. I'm very proud that we have Ukrainian people working in such companies as Apple and Google. I hope you have a lot of colleagues from Ukraine. So my question is, you were applying at Google as a junior or as a middle or as a senior specialist, where you found the vacancy, first of all, like how it was, and how many interviews you have passed, because I know information that in order to work in Google, you need to pass like more than 15 interviews.
Depends. I had 8. During the presentation, I said like it's minimum 5. It's always minimum 5, and then it can go. Doesn't. It really depends. So how it was, I applied to associate account strategist. So if we go back, you can see here on the slide, you have the account manager or you have digital marketing strategist. I applied to associate. Associate means junior in tech terms. And there is an associate, then there is just account manager, and then there is senior, for example, most of the cases. So I applied to associate account strategist. What did it mean? It meant customer support in non-tech terms. But in tech terms, it was associate account strategist working with clients and so on and so forth. So I worked with Ukrainian market, Ukrainian language, and my role was based in Poland and Wrocław. Right now, this office still exists, but it's not as big. Like they had desire to grow it, but then they focused on Dublin a bit more. So what was the role? I told you, it's like, it was the entry-level position, everything I was discussed today. Number 2, I applied online. I found that position online, but I asked someone from Google and they referred me. So most of the time in tech companies, if you find a friend or someone, or not a friend, just on LinkedIn, you can find people, and you will ask them to refer, it always makes your chances higher, because they believe that good people know good people, and it's better to have someone referred by their employees rather than someone who will apply just from outside. So yeah, someone referred me. I didn't know that person was not my friend. It was just someone from university, from EDAC, because I studied in France as well. And yeah, my first email from Google went to spam folder, and I didn't read it for a month. And then that girl calls me and say, "Hey, Dasha, are you crazy? Like, you're not replying. Like, what's going on?" I really didn't know it wasn't spam. So yeah, my process was a bit long, I would say. It really took me half a year interview. So from the moment you apply, to the moment you get the position, it's minimum half year, maximum 1 year. Why it can be 15 interviews? Because, for example, first you apply to one position, let's say associate account strategist, Ukrainian market. But then during the interview, you both understand that it's not a fit, and you know that there is another open position. You can apply to that as well and have another bunch of interviews with new people. So in this case, it will like sum up to 15. I don't know what is the maximum actually. Yeah, I hope I answered your question.
And it was like the website Robota UA or Work UA, the website.
Google.com.
Oh,
Google.com/career.
Yeah.
So all tech company, I would advise you and suggest you to always look on the website of actual company you want to apply, or LinkedIn.
Okay. Yeah. First of all, I have also a bunch of questions, and thank you, Mikita, for asking the previous one because it was also one of my questions. So yeah, saving time. First of all, my primary question is like I have a kind of the same situation because now I'm working in a tech company called SoftServe. Some people call it like Ukrainian Google, but I'm not like a I'm not a tech specialist, and like I want to be a marketing specialist, brand manager, but I'm not a brand manager right now. It's more like HR marketing. And my first question is, don't you feel like a little omitted when you're working in a tech company and you're working not as a primary, like the key personnel of any tech company is basically IT guys, right? And when you're growing in IT company as a marketing specialist or like as an account manager, don't you feel like you're just a supporting staff of all that infrastructure that is built around those key IT guys?
Very philosophical question, I would say, because you know what, it always depends on your mindset. How do you feel yourself and how do you position yourself, really? If you think from the business perspective, what marketing is? Marketing is a supporting function of sales. The goal of marketing is to sell, right? In a way, or to communicate. But the end always goal is to make like your client makes a purchase. So in a nature, finance, marketing is always a supporting function of sales. So I would not say that this is a sentiment or you feel as you are supporting someone all the time. No, it's not the case. IT guys, you mean the engineers, right? Or
yeah.
Right. Engineers, for example, at Google, they sit in a separate building, you know, or they have totally different projects. They have totally different org. So within Google, you have a lot of different organizations. They speak both engineering language and business language. And these people are really, really hard to find, to hire, and these roles are really sexy. A lot of people want to do it. So answering your question, first, it depends on your mindset and how do you position yourself. If you feel yourself supporting, probably like if you want to feel a star, then, you know, maybe it's not a role for you, depends. And number two is the nature of marketing, finance, and etc. is already supporting. So like, it's not a problem. Your goal is to sell, right? Or to create some service for the client. It depends on the mindset.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, yeah, and my next question is, I've checked your LinkedIn because, yeah, as I said, like I'm in quite the same situation, and that's frankly speaking one of the most interesting lectures guest lectures that we had here in Concordia. So yeah, I was kind of did my homework. Yeah, and like I've seen that you worked as a brand manager in L'Oreal. And then
Yeah.
today you were telling that you did like you applied as an associate account strategist. So basically it's more like selling. And
Yeah.
wasn't it like a shift that, I mean, wasn't it suspicious for your employer that you were like doing 2 years in marketing and then just bumped and went to selling? I know that like these roles are, I don't know, interwoven a little, but is it okay to apply for an entry position or for, I don't know, one position above the entry position if you don't have like the exact experience from that field?
Absolutely, absolutely not. So the idea here is that you should not have too much of experience. Like if you have, I don't know, 3-4 years, it gets weird, you know? Like if you're like, I don't know, marketing, I don't know, director, even of a small firm, but then or group brand manager, you know, and then you go to sales, like it can be weird. But there is always a context again. So number one, if it's too much, it's not healthy, then it's rather should be internships. And when you do your internships, you're exploring, right? Or you do right now, probably some like, so you're studying and working at the same time, so it's a part-time. It's also kind of exploring, right? So it's absolutely fine, and it's good that you have experience, then you have your soft skills done, you know. And number two, once you get more senior, it gets more complex. So for example, a person was a marketing director in L'Oreal for 15 years, let's say. Then there is a role opening at Google which says beauty and cosmetics industry lead or industry manager for UK market. Of course, they will hire this person who has 15 years of experience in beauty because this is what they need. They don't need the tech project manager. They need insights from the market, from the industry. But this is very specific, you know. So I would suggest have a different experience, but not too much if you want to go to tech early. I mean, in early days and early jobs. But most of the positions will be really in tech, in sales, or in market, or in customer experience. If you want to do marketing, like if you want to do pure marketing, like FMCG style, then probably, yeah, it really depends what you want.
Yeah, so it will be
Good.
not what you want, you said.
I think you mute yourself.
You said that it's gonna be not what you want, right? So the last sentence.
If you want to do really pure marketing or brand management position, then it's something else. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
But it's easier for you then to switch to marketing and do marketing projects at Google. For example, you can enter as a sales account manager. Then at Google or in all tech companies, you have this idea of 20% project. It means you can do project with any team in the whole Google, but for your 20% of your time. So what I did, I was interested in French brands, and I said, okay, I work in Ukrainian market, but I really want to work with French companies. Please, I will do it for my 20%. They said, okay, no problem. There was my project, and I was happy. I got my experience. And then if the team which you did project is happy about you and they have a job opening, you can switch and go. So it's an easy way to switch to marketing, for example, after you did sales. So yeah, I would say do not stick to one, because these namings, this marketing, this brand, like at the end of the day, what really matters is what type of tasks you do, what people you're working with, and what an environment is around you. It really doesn't matter how your position is called and what job title is. Yeah. Good. I think Fedir has a question. Or?
Yeah. Hello, Daria. I have a kind of a compromising question to you. Would you think it's necessary to get some type of degree to get into Google or any other company?
No. I can send you LinkedIn profile of my colleague, Zhenya Nesin. He studied in Shevchenko, and he did a bunch of this, like internships. Then he did, then he was leading some student organizations. Then maybe he did some, I'm actually not so sure. Did he do some exchange? I actually don't know. I will not.
But that's still considered as an education. He
even
still studied in Shevchenko's.
He studied in Shevchenko, so he did not study abroad, and he got. I mean, he was my teammate for many years. He's still at Google.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But is it necessary to even go to university? What is your point? Like, what is your opinion?
At all to study in university? You mean like tech people are dropping out from the schools and then create their unique startups? This is what this means. Okay.
I would say so.
Generally speaking, I think yes. At least bachelor. Master is not important. Also have a lot of colleagues who did only bachelor. Why is it important?
Why bachelor's degrees?
Because this how system works, it's still a system. Yeah, it's tech, it's modern, but they still would have this minimum prerequisites, and this would be a bachelor nowadays.
Yeah, but what exactly does it give you? It only gives you a paper, right?
It gives you first of all network. You learn how to speak. You learn the basic things. You learn like English. You learn things there still. So, and now in the modern society, this is like philosophical question of why the modern society considered higher education is something important. So I think it's not my, not my job to decide on that. It's, yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Can I ask you a very fast question, please?
Of course.
Thank you so much. Can you please give a few advices on how to move from account management to marketing?
Seems like everyone is really interested in marketing in this room, I guess.
Yes,
so you mean when you're already in the company, or what is the question?
Not matter the same company or to change it, like more about moving from account to marketing. Either I have the experience in marketing, but not like not the middle.
Okay. So first of all, do projects. Like at Google, you are available to different teams, and the real life and maybe a bit harder because but anyways, you can knock, I don't know, door of the marketing agency and say, hey guys, I'm not asking you for money, I need experience. Let me do projects with you. I'm here, I'm ready to shadow how you do your work. Let me shadow what you do. And in this case, you can practically actually see how the work is being done. No people will tell you no for a free workforce. Just ask. Just recently I got a random message on Instagram from some girl who said, I really like what you do. I want to work with you. It's super straightforward. Like, just look for people who did probably the same, who did the shift from account manager to marketing, reach out to them, talk to them, and find a couple of agencies or companies that might be interesting for you, or just ask for projects. Yeah. But through the network, through communication with people.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Have you ever been fired, and what was the reason?
Fired?
Yes.
No, I have not been fired. I have completed the how it's called, This first 6 months, yeah, like when they check, when you both, so the probation period. The probation period is there for you to understand, do you actually like this role, this job? Do you like people, or do you like everything you do? And the same for them. So there was once that after 6 months, I didn't feel like I want to continue, and the employer felt the same. So we just said goodbye to each other, and that's fine. Getting hired in tech is, I think, really hard, especially in Europe because of the law. So yeah.
And who was that? What was the company?
It was Apple recently. So I just felt like Apple is not the place where I want to be, and we said goodbye. Yeah.
But now you're still working at Apple, so.
I have some still projects there, but I don't, and I will not continue there.
Okay. Any plans for the future?
I'm exploring, you know. It's actually fun to talk to you because, yeah, you are in exploring mood and I'm also in exploring mood. So yeah, it's a journey, and it's also fine if you go somewhere and you really don't feel like you don't like the culture, people, and it's fine. So yeah, and just don't compromise on yourself.
And what was wrong about Apple?
Like, I am not so sure that I will share the details here, but I just didn't feel like the culture was what I was looking for from the people perspective. You know, there are companies that they put people first, and this is really cool. And there are companies who put processes, money, and business first. So this is the example.
Okay, got it.